Everybody's always curious about what we're doing with our puppies through development, and we're going to try and do as many live videos to show you exactly the timing and exactly the amount of time that this is going to take with each puppy. And every puppy is going to be a little bit different, but we have Rocket here with us again. Yesterday we got a little bit busy, so his training sessions involved running around in the backyard and being a puppy. That happens, life happens, and I want you all to understand that. Now today, what we're going to be able to do with him is take the next step, starting right where we left off with clicker training. You can see already he's starting to display, we're going to mark that for him, he's starting to display these behaviors that he was getting rewarded for last time. And this is the first training session that we've done since you saw us in that last live video. So you can see how powerful clicker training is and positive reinforcement. He's understanding that the best way for him to get my attention and to get rewarded is to sit there and behave himself. This is how we develop behaviors in our young puppies that we want to see out of our dogs as adults. I don't want him to jump on me to get attention. So we're rewarding him for not doing that, and we can help develop that behavior in him from puppyhood on. Good. Now, just like we did before, we're going to try and start to move from him just exhibiting this behavior to be able to introduce a cue. And that's going to require him to actually be standing and then sitting again, as opposed to just getting rewarded for sitting. So we'll get his attention, help him to move his feet, and then start to get him to sit again. Good boy. A little hand gesture. He's used to getting the food from my hand. He sees me pull this up. You can see his head follow my hand, and that helps to pull his attention up and his butt touch the ground. So this is a really easy way to teach sit. Okay. Good. Now he's getting very consistent at sitting. This is the best time to start to introduce that cue. Now, again, timing is important. We're going to hold the word until we think he's just about to do it. So he's going to hear the word as he's exhibiting the behavior, and then we're again going to mark when he does it correctly. So, Rocket. Sit. Good boy. Good boy. And then we'll be able to transition from this after a few reps to asking with the cue and then marking the behavior. So he'll start to be able to respond to the word, not hear it at the same time. He's doing something he was already going to do. Sit. Good boy. Good boy. Yeah. Good. Gave him a couple extra awards there. Did a really good job. Sit. Good. Now, there is a chance that he may not sit, but right now he's been very consistent with that, so I'm going to start to ask a little bit ahead of time so that he can start responding to the cue we're asking. Good. Sit. Good boy. Good boy. We'll get his feet moving again once he finishes his treat. Come on. Good boy. Stand up. Good. Sit. Good boy. Good boy. Sit. Good. I paused. I wasn't sure if he was going to do it, so I kind of held that cue just a little bit. Sit. Good boy. Good boy. We're still just using his dog food. He's ready for a meal. He's hungry. He's a food-driven dog, and we kind of developed this as well. We had a comment about someone saying last time, maybe use a better treat. Well, I kind of want his dog food to be that treat. It makes life easier, as well as down the road when we do things with this little guy, like go on hunting trips, if he's very food driven, in those times that we're using more energy, he's using more energy, we can give him more food because he's going to basically eat everything we want, everything that we give him. Yeah, lots of focus, lots of focus. Rocket. Rocket, good. You saw the excitement. I got excited with him. He started to come back, and then he realized the best thing to do would be to sit to get his reward. You saw him maybe start trying to jump on you. Rocket, rocket, rocket. Good. Sit. Good. we're developing a behavior of sitting and showing him that he can get our attention that way. Now we're going to work a little bit on recall. He seems to be doing a good job of this. So when we switch this up here, he's just going to come up. Good. We're marking now him coming in and touching our hand. I have food in my hand right here. This makes this process, okay. Good. This makes this process really easy to begin with. Good boy. Yeah. Good boy. Now, we can transition from the food being directly in our hand, so it's an immediate response to him actually getting marked for just touching our hand. Now, he's gotten used to eating out of our hand, so this is pretty easy to pull his attention. Now, there was nothing in my hand that time. He got marked for touching my hand, and then the reward comes after the fact. But we are teaching him to come in and touch our hand. I don't know if you could see that one as well. I kind of blocked it with my body. Good. Now, these are two things that he has a pretty good understanding of so that we can introduce both of them. Yeah. Now, in that situation, just to take a second and explain that, he sat down, which was perfect. It's what we've been doing. As we develop in this process, we want to start rewarding him more for what we're asking him to do, not just for what he's anticipating we're doing. So he anticipated that I was going to ask him to sit, which is fine. It's not a bad thing for him to know. But the reason I didn't mark at that time is because I want to ask for those things as opposed to just mark what he's doing right now. So, good. Rocket, rocket, rocket. Coming to mark. Good boy. Yeah, good boy.
And him exhibiting calm sitting behaviors for the reward and for the attention is definitely a good thing. We'd much rather have him come up, sit for his treat, sit after he comes in and target hears, and then get his reward than jumping all over you like a little crazy man, demanding his food treat.
Good boy. As we're cruising through this positive reinforcement training session with Rocket, hey, I did something a little bit different there. Good boy. I actually introduced what's considered variable reinforcement. So I asked him to do two separate tricks. Yeah.
And he said, no.
Yeah. We're losing a little bit of focus. Sit. So, he's probably not quite ready for this.
Which, considering this is only his second clicker training session, that is completely fine.
Absolutely. Rocket, rocket, rocket. Hi. Good.
But it's also important to keep pushing and challenging your puppy. If you do something that's too simple for them over and over and over, they're going to get bored. We need to continuously challenge their minds.
Rocket.
Challenge their abilities, help them. I'm a distraction here right now because he wants to come say hi.
Yep, the more you talk, the more he gets drawn to your voice. Good. So it's just showing right now that he's a very cooperative puppy, and this would be a good training session to, if there's multiple people in the house, call the puppy back and forth. Good. You can see how he's very attentive here. As soon as somebody else talks, that's just a cooperative puppy, and that's not a bad thing. Good. And it's a great way to do your training sessions at home, calling the puppy back and forth between you. So again, we can mark. Good. Sit. Good boy. So there was an example of, of variable reinforcement. He had to do both things, and then the reward came after the fact. That's how you can we get the question a lot about how positive reinforcement can develop consistency. You say, well, the dog only responds when I reach for the treats, or I have the treats in my hand, or I shake the food cup. And variable reinforcement is how you do that. Giving him multiple things that he has to respond to. We mark to tell him, yes, you did that right. And then the reward comes after the fact. Good. Now, he is a little bit distracted. So again, we're going to keep this session short. Right?
He's like chillaxing right now.
Melting. We're going to keep this session short. We're going to grab his little sister, and we'll do the same thing. You can see progressions with different dogs. So Miss Snap here, we'll start again, doing something that she's already done before. Good. Now we didn't really Rocket started moving through things a little bit faster than Snap did last time, so we're not quite as far. She's definitely excited about this, but we're not quite as far as what he was, where he instantly kind of came out and sat. So we're going to work her through that today. We'll do a few of these just to help. She's almost a little bit frantic. You can see she's pretty excited to work for us right now. So I'm going to reward her a few times and help get her mind
focused back on the training session.
Yeah,
and you said we're going to do a little bit of this. And what I was just going to mention, a little bit of this is just continuing to charge the clicker a little bit more, where she's getting a food reward at the same time she hears the click.
Absolutely. Thank you. So she's trying to figure out how she can get that reward now. She's tried jumping on me. She's tried jumping around. We're going to have to do something just a little bit different. Okay, so that was a barely mark. Her butt kind of touched the ground inadvertently. I tried to mark it timing-wise, and we'll see if we can build off of it.
A thing to keep in mind is that the click not only marks the behavior, but it does end the behavior. So she does only have to sit for that split second.
Yes.
Of course, we are going to try and build on that and work on sitting for longer and longer. But in the beginning stages, a quick sit is better than no sit at all. And the smaller the steps you can break this process down into, the faster you'll get there.
And that seemed confused, which is why I didn't mark it. She was more itching herself. It was kind of a scattered thought. She may not quite be ready for this. What we'll continue to do here, just start with, is a little bit more target training. Snap. This is a perfect example of how every dog develops just a little bit differently. And we want to do something to help teach her. Good. But at the same time, eventually move into challenging her. Now, she's doing really well with this. You got the itchies again, huh? Yeah. She's doing really well with this, so I'm going to move to her marking just the target without the treat actually in my hand, so that we can build on that process. Good. Yeah, your brother says he wants to play still. Come on. Good. There we go. So we're marking the sit there. It popped up. And maybe just me being good girl. Yeah. Now we're getting somewhere. Hi. Hi, hi, hi. Good girl. So that was a sit position into a jump. So I've got to be aware of that, so I'm not marking that next time.
So anticipating that that's something she sometimes is doing.
Hi, hi, hi. Yeah.
Is she's sometimes doing a little bit of that loading onto her back haunches, which isn't actually sitting, it's prepping to jump at you.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So
snap, snap. Hi, 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 hi. This is an example. Some people may say I don't have I go back to this, may not have enough of a quality treat or something like that. The other side of it is that we have a young puppy whose focus level is different than the other puppies. And when we have dogs with different personalities and different mindsets, we have to train at a different rate, a different speed. Not every dog is going to train the same, right? Yeah.
Which is honestly one of the reasons we don't recommend keeping litter mates.
Yeah.
I know we've got 2 litter mates that we're doing this with, which is a great side-by-side example, but what can tend to happen is you compare Rocket to Snap's training session, and you go, wow, she's not learning as quickly. She must be not as nice of a puppy as the other puppy. And that's not true at all. Today could be just an off day for her as well, but we're getting a lot more focus now. But it's easy to try and make those comparisons when you've got 2 puppies that you're working with basically simultaneously.
Hi. She tries the jumping thing a couple times and then gives up. It's just a different level of focus. You get to see a lot of our videos, you get to see a lot of different people's videos where everything looks perfect.
With the dog that's done this, been there.
Yeah, perfect isn't real life. I mean, if everything happened perfectly, I wouldn't have a job. We've got to be able to figure out what we can do, and what's going to help her out right now seems to be more frequent rewards. More frequent rewards. She needs to be fed. We're struggling to keep her attention span right now. And we're going to be able to build off this with time, but right now we're going to do a bunch of rewards like this, helping her to understand that this is a good way to get our attention and get rewarded. We're not going to mark any of that. And then we're going to call this session it. I don't have anything else really that I can work on with her right now. She is, come in. Hi, come on. Yeah. Little Miss Snap is a little bit distracted right now, and that's okay. It's going to happen. What we will end up doing is calling this the end of her session, maybe spending a little bit of time later this evening, or potentially just tomorrow. Yeah. It's all a matter of reading your individual dog and helping to make a plan that's going to work for them. So, hope you enjoyed. Stay tuned, and we will be posting more videos on how these puppies progress.